Nearly every late September that I could remember as a young boy, there was a story that we parishioners were told when we attended the Mass on this particular weekend. It was the story of the history of Our Lady of Peace. Father James Daly would begin by sharing dates and times and places and the names of people, many of whom at that time were still alive, sitting in these pews. He knew them all, and he knew every family by name, because he was the one who would beat the drum, starting the efforts and enlisting every family to make the seeds of our parish germinate and grow. This coming Wednesday, September 30th, is the 65th anniversary of the canonical founding of Our Lady of Peace Parish. We were carved out of Blessed Sacrament Parish. And along with our sister parishes of St. Jude the Apostle and the Church of the Good Shepherd in West Middlesex, PA, that one historic letter signed by the famous Archbishop Gannon began it all. The portrait in front of me is Archbishop Gannon, the founding bishop of Our Lady of Peace. And this portrait to my left is the portrait of Monsignor or Father James Daly, later on to be known as Monsignor James Daly. But Father Daly was always quick to point out that the real beginning of our church was really the Pentecost event. And as God's people, we draw our strength whenever we gather to celebrate Mass, which is our participation in the Last Supper. Again, I refer you to the picture of Pentecost and the Last Supper. Our Lady of Peace Parish is 65 years old, but the Catholic faith is over 2,000 years old. One thing Father Daly always added in his annual homily is that even if we ever were to lose anything that we have had since 1955, if we lost the school building or this building, we would still be a parish, because as important as our buildings may be, it is her people, her families, that are ever more dear. We are Jesus Christ's pride and joy, because we, at our baptism, were commissioned to live his mission. As it didn't take long for the ancient church to leap into its mission, neither did it take too long for our parish to do so. The date of our founding was on a Friday, September 30th, 1955. The very next day, Father Daly took his canonical office as the founding pastor. In 15 days, he was able to secure a location for the very first Mass of Our Lady of Peace Parish. It wasn't even celebrated on this property. On Sunday, October 16th, 1955, in the auditorium of McDowell High School, which for those of you who are McDowell grads, you can yell yay, that was actually the very first Mass of the parish. And interestingly enough, McDowell High School is actually the geographical center of the borders of Our Lady of Peace Parish. He celebrated on that day 2 Masses, 9 o'clock in the morning and 11 o'clock in the morning. And interestingly, we still have a 9 a.m. and 11 a.m. Mass. That weekend, he prayed with the original people that attended those Masses, and I think collectively there was about 150 people. The entire collection amounted to $95.77. From that initial collection, every brick and mortar that you see here and everywhere else on the campus was born. 2 weeks later, on Tuesday, November 1st, 1955, the first rectory of the parish was established from an old farmhouse cottage. Now you call it the Scout House. That time it was called the rectory. In the basement of that building, he held many masses daily with a small fledgling group of people Monday through Saturday mornings. And in the corner of that old cottage basement, the first child of our parish was baptized, and I actually got to meet him recently over the last 5 or 6 months. His name was John Mark McElhaney, and he's 65 years old. His baptism date, November 13, 1955, the very first registered baptism of Our Lady of Peace. Now, for some people, especially if there's not much of a connection here, those just become old dates from old history books. But I believe these are important dates to recall and remember in the collective history of the parish because they are about us. They are all about us as a pilgrim people, a term that was embraced 10 years before it was used in the documents of the Second Vatican Council. We were the pilgrim people. Our parish was more than just a decree by an archbishop. It was a living and breathing link to Pentecost and to the Last Supper. We are heirs to the mission of Jesus Christ, who, as in today's gospel, reminds us to open arms for those who were here at the beginning. We are sinners, and we are saints. We represent the real family with foibles and flaws as well as great integrity and holiness. Put it all together, that's Our Lady of Peace. You'll notice in this particular little curio box, I guess you would call it, we found this in the corner of the school. At one time it was up on a wall, but with different renovations through the decades, it kind of got lost somewhere in a corner of a stairwell. Well, we found it the other day and we fixed up the box, cleaned it up, restained it to match the woodwork in here. You'll see there was the shovel that we used when Archbishop Gannon tilled the first bit of soil for the building of our grade school. As well as Monsignor Daly, they shared that shovel. And again, Father Daly shared that shovel with Bishop Watson the day that we shoveled the first bit of soil when we built this beautiful church. A couple of us here were high school students or younger when that was done. At the end of Mass today, Father Rich is going to share with us an invitation on how you and I can participate spiritually in this anniversary that I'm speaking of here of Our Lady of Peace. One person asked me sometime during the last year and a half that I've been here, it seems Our Lady of Peace has its own spirit. Why are we different than some of the other parishes in our diocese? And I usually respond that like a child, all of us are formed by our parents, and we oftentimes take on the habits and dispositions that they share. For us, Father Daly made sure that every parishioner was treated equally, that all of us were critically needed to make the mission of Jesus Christ come alive, a mission which touches hearts and forms people in their faith. Every festival, imagine a 5-day festival every year. And every fundraiser we ever had always had a diverse group of people working shoulder to shoulder. And that's what I believe is so special about us. All are not just welcomed at Our Lady of Peace, but all are commissioned to actually get involved in whatever way you can, so that we can all say, this is our parish, built with Jesus' vision and our efforts. As we go forth from Mass today, I don't expect you to take off work on Wednesday when we celebrate the 65th anniversary of the parish. I don't expect that. But I hope that out these walls, you will speak well of the place that helps to spiritually feed your souls. And I hope that you will encourage people, especially if they do not have a parish that they call home, to come here to Our Lady of Peace and to be with us, to pray, to laugh, to cry, to work, and to enjoy. This is our faith, and this is our heritage. Our Lady of Peace, pray for us.